You know what's funny about achieving goals? The first 80% feels hard, but the last 20% is where most people quit. Think about it. You've done all the work. You put in the hours, you made the sacrifices. You are so close to the finish line. And that's exactly when you hit a wall. Tired of showing up and wondering if it's even worth it. I know you start saying to yourself and thinking, this should be good enough. Good enough is good enough. And right there at 80%, you stop. The last 20% is the hardest part, but it's also where the champions are made. This is where the goal is. We're talking about how to endure when you want to quit and why celebration is not optional. By the end of this episode, you're going to know how to push through the final stretch and build a celebration practice that keeps you going. Because if you don't celebrate your progress, you won't have the fuel to finish. Let's do it. I'll never forget when I was building a deck in my backyard. I researched how to build it. I got all the supplies from Home Depot. I built it, sanded it. But when it came time to paint it, man, I was tired. I just wanted to quit. All I needed to do was paint it, and then I could call it done, finished. But every morning, I lay in my bed, too tired to go out in the backyard to paint that deck. For a couple weeks, I just considered maybe leaving it unfinished because I would work on it early in the mornings before I started my day job, but I found every excuse not to go out there. It's raining today. I can't do it. The sun is not up yet. I can't go. I wanted a nice backyard, but I was tired of this project. I'd been working on my backyard for months. It took about a year to complete the whole backyard. I started rationalizing, maybe I could just leave it unfinished. What would that look like? Natural wood might look pretty nice. Maybe I can get somebody else to paint it. Maybe I just need to move on to something else in the backyard. I was at the 90% mark, I think, and was really just ready to give up. But you know what changed? I asked myself a simple question. If you quit now, how will you feel when people come to your birthday party? I was building it for my 50th birthday party. How will you feel when people come to your birthday party and they see your deck half done? I already knew the answer. I was going to regret it because people would be like, why did you think you could build a deck anyway? You're not a carpenter. I knew I was going to feel like a quitter, and I don't like to feel like a quitter. So I made a deal with myself. I said to myself, and myself said, huh? No, just kidding. I said to myself, dude, just get it done. Yes, that is how I talk to myself. What? You don't talk to yourself? I talk to myself all the time. So if you see me somewhere talking to myself, just mind your business. I'm having a staff meeting. Anyway, needless to say, I painted the deck. It was beautiful. Beautiful shade of gray. Everybody loved it. And it was an excellent place for people to sit when they came to the party. They even took pictures all on the deck. It was so nice. Now, maybe you're in your final 20% right now. You've come so far. You've worked so hard, but you're tired. You're discouraged. You're really tempted to quit. Now, listen, I talked about this last week. I wrote about it in my book. The middle of any goal achievement is hard because you know how far you've come, but you also know how far you got to go. And sometimes, even though it is the last 10 or 20%, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you're only right in the middle. So you want to quit, but don't. Think about a marathon. The last mile is usually where all the people start falling off and dropping out. But if you can push through, you're already ahead of like 90% of the people who started. Listen, you can't endure the final stretch on willpower alone. You need fuel, and that fuel is celebration. Most of us only Celebrate when we're done and we've reached the goal, the milestone. We graduated from college. We got the degree. Let's have a big party. Let's go out to eat. So we celebrate when we have achieved the goal, when we've crossed the finish line. But by then, sometimes you so burnt out, you can barely enjoy the celebration. You've got to learn to celebrate during the journey. You have to acknowledge your progress, not just the results. What does the old gospel song say? Don't wait till the battle is over, shout now. Right? We got to shout now. We got to celebrate now. Y'all know that song? Here's our mindset shift for today. Celebration is not the reward for finishing. Celebration is the fuel we need to keep going. When you celebrate your progress, you're telling your brain, we're winning. Keep going. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. I don't know why I want to sing today. Anyway, when you ignore your progress, your brain thinks, this isn't working. I've been doing this for too long. It's never going to work. Why are we even doing this? Like me, building that deck, right? But celebration creates momentum. It reminds you of how far you come instead of how far you have to go. So let me give you another example. Say your goal is to lose 30 pounds and you've been working at it for 3 months and you've lost 20 pounds. Now you got two choices. One, you can focus on the 10 pounds you still have left to lose. I'm still not there. I still have so far to go. Or two, you could celebrate the 20 pounds you lost already. Look at you. You are 2/3 of the way there. Now, which one you think keeps you motivated? The celebration, right? Because when you focus on what you haven't done, you feel defeated. But when you celebrate what you have done, you feel empowered. You build what I like to call a weekly celebration practice into your rotation. This is why you have to build in those mini milestones that we talked about when we did week 1 of backward goal planning. What? You weren't there? Go check out week 1. This way, every single week, you'll have at least one win to celebrate. Today, though, I want you to identify at least 5 wins. And as you move forward, I want you to always look for at least 5 wins to celebrate each week. They don't have to be huge. They just need to be real achievements. Let me give you some examples. I showed up even when I didn't feel like it. I completed a task that I had been avoiding. I didn't want to do it. I said no to one of those distractions. I practiced my new habit for 7 days. I ate good for 7 days. By Friday, I fell off. Just kidding. Or even 3 days if you've done something for at least 3 days. Look, you got to give yourself some props for any consistency that you have because that will help you. It'll fuel you. I asked for help when I needed it. That's a big one for me. All right, write them down. I need you to acknowledge them and I need you to feel them. And that's the practice that keeps you going when the finish line feels so far away. All right, what does the Bible say? The Bible says in Hebrews 12:1-2, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of faith. So you got to run with perseverance. That means you got to run with that endurance. That means you cannot quit when it gets hard. And then I want you to notice that it says fixing our eyes. You have to keep your focus on what matters. Don't get distracted now. You can't be paying attention to how tired you are right now. You can't even dwell on how hard this is. And yes, I said even. You can't obsess over what you haven't done yet. You need to fix your eyes on the finish line and you need to celebrate your progress so that you can endure. All right, let's do a little work. You got your pen and paper? You know you got to come to this podcast with pen and paper. What, you new here? Okay, go back and watch the other episodes. We're helping people achieve their goals in this series. All right, exercise 1. Acknowledge where you are. First, I want you to be honest where you are in your journey. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to tell us where you are as far as your energy level right now. Energy towards that goal. What about your motivation level right now? How do you feel about finishing? Are you feeling excited and energized? That would be amazing. Tired? but I'm committed. Overwhelmed and struggling, or are you ready to quit? Don't quit. Don't quit. Now, I need you to just acknowledge where you are right now. I'm not judging you. I don't want you to judge you. I just want you to tell the truth to yourself. You got to be honest with yourself before you be honest with anybody else. Then, are you ready for exercise 2? We're going to build your endurance plan. What's your biggest challenge in the final stretch? What are you up against in this final stretch? Is it exhaustion or burnout? You've lost your motivation. Remember, motivation fades. We talked about that in the last episode. Are life circumstances getting in the way? Because life be lifing. We know that, right? Is it that you're feeling like it's good enough? That's enough. Is perfectionism keeping you from finishing? That's my problem. Maybe it's your problem. Or are distractions pulling you away from your goals? So take a moment and write down your biggest challenge. Now, what will you do about it? I want you to complete this statement in your notes. When I feel like quitting, I will. What will you do? Let me give you some examples. When I feel like quitting, I will remind myself of why I started. Review my progress so far. Take 1 day rest, and then I'll restart tomorrow. Now, we can't say that every day because then now we're putting it off and we're procrastinating. When I feel like quitting, I will talk to my accountability partner. What? You don't have an accountability partner? You need to come and hang out with us in the Fulcrum Mindset community on School. We'll talk more about that later. When I feel like quitting, I will do the minimum, but keep the momentum going. We talked about that in the last episode. There's no 100% or 0%. We got to find a middle ground there. Now, I want you to write your endurance plan. This is going to be your backup when things get hard so that you can get to the finish line. All right, let's do one more exercise today. And we're going to call this your weekly celebration practice. Now, let's celebrate your progress right now. I need you to list 5 wins from your goal setting this past week or 5 wins from your goal setting over the past 7 episodes. If you have listened to every episode, come on, think about those 5 wins. If you're driving, you can't write it, but save this video, come back to it, or save this podcast episode, come back to it. I don't want you to skip this. I really need you to think about what you've accomplished because you have been working hard towards your goals. And even if you haven't reached your goal weight yet, maybe you lost 5 pounds, maybe you lost 10 pounds. And even though you haven't launched a business yet, maybe you wrote the business plan. Maybe you've done some networking. You know a lot more people than you knew before you started this goal. If you haven't yet graduated from college, because that would be really fast in that you probably have listened to this over 7 weeks, but maybe you enrolled in school, you applied for financial aid, you paid the bill even though your budget was tight, you finished 5 assignments in class, you have a nice structured schedule. Come on, think about the wins. Think about the wins. I know you have some wins. Did you show up consistently? That's a win. It might sound small, but you did it. Did you overcome a fear? Remember, we talked about fear. Did you build any new habits? Did you learn something new? That's a big one for me as an educator. Listen, life can teach you a lot of things. Sometimes you wake up and boom, you got a new bit of wisdom in your goal achievement process. Did you take brave action? I need you to write it down. Come on, 5 wins. After you write them down, I want you to read them out loud to yourself. You feel that? That's progress. And that is worth celebrating. The celebration doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent. Just like you're consistent at achieving your goals, I need you to be consistent at celebrating your goals. Because when you celebrate consistently, you build the fuel to keep going. That's it. You've acknowledged where you are. You've built your endurance plan and you've celebrated your success. Look at you thriving in all of this gold achievements. You just did something wonderful. You celebrated how far you've come instead of obsessing over how far you have to go. That's the kind of mindset that achieves goals. That's a fulcrum mindset. All right, I got a few action steps after you watch this video. I need you to keep working at this. Give me some feedback in the comments. First, I need you to download the free Endurance and Celebration Guide. This worksheet walks you through building your endurance plan and your weekly celebration practice. You can get it in the show notes. Second, I want you to celebrate 5 wins from this week. Write them down, and then I want you to share them publicly. Tell the world. And if the people you are surrounded by can't handle your wins, come on over to the Fulcrum Mindset community. We like to hear your wins. We like to acknowledge your wins. We like to celebrate you and your wins. The Fulcrum Mindset community is on school.com. Check the show notes for a link, and then I want you to acknowledge your progress. Third, I want you to commit to a celebration ritual. So put it on your calendar every week. Maybe it's your Friday. Fridays are like my relax, have a little popcorn, drink a cold drink, whatever that you like, and just relax. So you're going to celebrate maybe on Fridays or Saturdays. Now, if your goal is losing weight, we can't be celebrating with like cookies and pies and things like that. When I was in the weight loss program, I used to go to Weight Watchers, and if I weighed in and I had lost 2 pounds, because that was my goal every week, 2 pounds. I could come under, I could go over, but 2 pounds was my goal. If I lost the 2 pounds, I would go someplace in the mall, buy me a beautiful shirt or a necklace, some earrings. I would buy something for myself. I couldn't reward myself with food. There was a candy store there, and I tried that, and then I thought to myself, this is crazy. You can't be rewarding yourself with candy if you've lost weight, because now you're about to put the weight right back on. So then I learned how to buy myself some earrings, buy a necklace, buy a bracelet, something like that. So I need you to commit to your own celebration every single week until you reach the goal. If it's, you wrote an amazing paper, you got an A in class, listen, whatever it takes. Now, I am kind of crazy. I started thinking, and maybe this is out there somewhere, and if you're somebody who does this, I think that adults should have stickers. There are times when I'm like, I just paid that light bill. I should get a sticker. I went to work when I didn't feel like it. I should get a sticker. Maybe they have adult stickers. I'm going to look into this. But anyway, if you want the full system for enduring the final stretch and finishing strong, please join us in the Vision to Victory course inside the Fulcrum Mindset community on School. We will celebrate you together. You can come on in and tell us, hey, I haven't been here, but I've been following along on the podcast, and look at what I have done towards my goals. We are not only celebrating together, but we are enduring together, and we're finishing together. Next week is the final episode of this series, week 8, Multiply Impact, where we're talking about how to sustain your success beyond this series and share what you've learned with others. You're almost there. We got 1 week left. Let's finish strong. Set your alarm for the next release of this podcast. Listen, you are closer than you think. The finish line is right there. I can see it. You can almost touch it. Don't quit. And even if it's you're going back to school, you probably are working towards the finish of the first semester. If you put in that work, you got to celebrate that, okay? The last 20% of any goal setting is the hardest, but it's also where you prove to yourself, and that's a big one for me. Prove it to yourself that you're not a quitter. You're a finisher. So celebrate your progress, build your endurance plan, and keep moving forward. And when you cross that finish line, and I know you will, it will be worth every hard moment. From Vision to Victory, that's your story. I'll see you in the next episode.